Imagine standing in front of a mirror one day. But the face staring back isn't the one you're used to. It's older, more tired, eyes heavy with regret. Then it whispers, "You know what's wrong." Yet you keep doing it every single day. You try to step away, but the shadow is no longer confined to the mirror. It follows you. It lives behind every small decision that slowly, quietly destroys your potential, procrastinating on life-changing projects, sabotaging meaningful relationships, breaking your own boundaries, and neglecting your health with habits you know are harmful. And so, the question stings. Why do we become our own worst enemies? This is the deepest paradox of the human soul. Our capacity to create the extraordinary walks hand in hand with the ability to orchestrate our own downfall, with a precision that's almost terrifying. Carl Jung, the psychologist who dove deep into the darkest recesses of the human mind, called this the shadow. When we reject and bury the darker parts of ourselves, they don't disappear. They grow in silence and they begin to destroy us from within. But why? Why is the mind wired to sabotage itself? How can the intelligence that builds cities also turn against its own well-being? And perhaps most hauntingly, what are we really gaining from this destruction? The three hidden engines of self-sabotage. 1. False protection. We sabotage ourselves to avoid pain. Like a misfiring immune system, the psyche defends against imagined threats. You might reject a promotion out of fear of failure, or ruin a relationship just before it gets deep. Better to leave than be left. 2. Addiction to drama. The brain releases dopamine when we create internal crises. Without realizing it, we become hooked on the familiar narrative of suffering, the identity of the one who is always struggling. 3. Denial of greatness. It's easier to say "I can't" than to admit we are powerful and face the responsibility that comes with it. We fear not our limitations, but our vastness. Jung's haunting question echoes, what if it's not a lack of discipline, but a fear of your own greatness that's destroying you? The War Within. In 1933, Jung wrote in the Red Book, "Every patient I saw eventually admitted they were the architect of their own suffering." Self-sabotage isn't just failure, it's subconscious rebellion. A distorted cry for recognition. A fractured self, crying out to be acknowledged. The shadow doesn't vanish when ignored. It projects itself onto your life. Unspoken rage becomes illness. Suppressed ambition becomes self-destruction. Buried pain becomes passive aggression. Neuroscience agrees. Modern brain science confirms Jung's insights. Imposter syndrome is linked to overactivity in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part that downplays success. The brain releases dopamine when repeating failure. Patterns, a kind of addiction to familiar pain. The amygdala, our emotional control center, interprets growth as threat and triggers fight-flight-freeze responses. The existential perspective. Philosophers knew this darkness well. Schopenhauer said, humans prefer familiar misery to unknown happiness. Sartre called it bad faith, betrayal of our true potential. Viktor Frankl observed that people often choose meaningful suffering over uncertain freedom. So the real question becomes, what if it's not weakness, but fear of becoming powerful that haunts us? What if what needs to change isn't our habits, but the identity we've clung to for too long? What if we've not lost awareness, but the courage to face it? A crisis that shapes the world. A 30-year Harvard study revealed a shocking pattern. 85% of participants regularly chose the worse option, fully aware there was a better one. This isn't coincidence, it's a global psychological crisis. 1. Learned helplessness. WHO data shows a 300% increase in chronic self-sabotage since 1990. Phrases like "I could, but," or "when I'm ready," have become modern mantras of potential deferred. 2. Relationship breakdown. Studies show 68% of people unconsciously trigger conflict when intimacy deepens. Push-pull patterns, ghosting before weddings, or silent friend fallouts, these are symptoms of shadowed hearts. 3. Economic paralysis. World Bank reports self-doubt as a core barrier to growth in developing nations. Talented employees reject promotions. Entrepreneurs freeze. Investors pull out at the edge of success, all driven by inner sabotage. Culture reinforces the cycle. Schools punish boldness with bad grades. Mistakes are shamed. Conformity is praised. Religions, distorted by guilt, preach unworthiness, you're not enough. Media glorifies suffering. 78% of Oscar-winning films romanticize tragedy. Pop songs mourn failure. Headlines celebrate collapse. And so, what looks like stupidity is often a desperate attempt to stay safe within the identity we've always known. As Jung wrote, nothing is more frightening than discovering how powerful you really are. The Way Out, Jungian Alchemy of the Self. In 1957, a group of patients at a Jungian clinic in Zurich tried a radical experiment. But to listen. Instead of repressing the dark, they dialogued with it. The results? 73% reported a dramatic drop in self-sabotage. 61% achieved breakthroughs in career or creativity within 6 months. 89% experienced a level of inner freedom they'd never known. This sparked the birth of new healing tools, Jungian strategies to integrate the shadow. 3 core practices for inner alchemy. 1. Active imagination. Sit in silence. Focus on one self-sabotaging pattern. Imagine it as a figure in front of you. Ask, what do you want from me? What are you afraid will happen if I change? Write down the answers. 2. Shadow mapping. List your top 3 self-destructive behaviors. For each, identify the hidden reward. For example, procrastination equals avoiding success equals avoiding responsibility. Then uncover the fear behind it. 3. Ritual of transformation. Write your destructive habits on one side of a paper. On the other, they're positive opposites. Burn the paper. Imagine the dark energy transmuting into creative fire. Real lives, real shifts. An executive who choked during presentations discovered he feared becoming like his arrogant father. He redefined leadership in his own authentic voice. A painter who destroyed her work before exhibitions realized she feared rejection. She began showing her imperfect art with pride. A mother who overate found buried anger at domestic life. She began journaling and reclaiming her truth. 5 daily steps for reclaiming power. 1 morning mantra. I have the power to destroy or create. Today, I choose to create. 2. Set 3 alarms during the day with the question, am I building or destroying myself right now? 3. Shadow journal each night. Record 1 destructive and 1 constructive act. Reflect on their lessons. 4. 5-minute daily shadow dialogue. No judgment. 5. Transform 1 habit. Replace a small sabotage, e.g. stress smoking, with a small creative act, e.g. doodling. This will not feel natural at first. We've been trained to suppress, not to understand. Our culture fears darkness. Our brains resist change. But as Jung said, enlightenment is not about imagining figures of light, but making the darkness conscious. The final truth. Destruction is not your enemy, it is your misunderstood teacher. Every act of sabotage is a lost love note from the soul. Every addiction a cry for purpose. Every failure a misdirected flame of greatness. Alchemy teaches, what is below is like what is above. Destruction and creation are the same energy, channeled differently. Final rituals for inner union. 1. Love. Letter to the destroyer. Thank the part of you that's tried to protect you through destruction. Offer it a new role. 2. Funeral for the old self. Write the traits you wish to release. Bury the list. Plant a flower above it. 3. Fire meditation. Visualize your destructive energy as a fire that burns away your limits. Then see yourself rising from the ashes like a phoenix. In the end, you'll see every fall hides a rebirth. Every sabotage is a call to evolve. Every darkness contains treasure. As Joseph Campbell said, The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. As Jung wrote before he died, self-destruction is not the enemy. It is the cruelest, most loyal teacher I ever had. And perhaps now you are ready to ask, if your destructive urge turned into creative fire, who is the version of you that would finally rise? Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. Subscribe for more inner journeys. And drop your thoughts below, I'd love to hear them. May your day be filled with peace, purpose, and awakening.